Hello everyone, welcome to the third tutorial in this series, the point and click adventure game that we're making. So in today's tutorial we're going to be creating the HUD, the heads up display. So basically the information that the user understands about the game. There's not going to be too much to it because obviously our game is just a point and click. There's not really too much going on. It's not like we've got ammunition and health and things like that, but I will explain each choice as we go. So in my document, I've set it up as 1024.576. Obviously do that under document preferences. Just as a reference, I'm going to bring in the background again. Let's do that. So that's nice, it's actually coming at the right size today. I haven't had to resize it. We had that palaver in the last video. Okay, so let's, there we go. Let's drop that there. Excellent. So this is what we made in the last video, this pop-up screen on top of the scene that we made in the first one. So the only reason I bring this in is for reference, okay? So I can call this ref, because this HUD is going to change, it's going to sit over the top. And what I'm going to do probably to sort of cheat the coding is make 3 variants of it, okay? So for my HUD, normally your HUD will go around the outside of the screen. Now, it's totally up to you how you do this. I think mine would probably work quite nicely, making it look like it was CCTV footage, a bit like Five Nights at Freddy, but I don't necessarily think, I think that gives like now sort of a horror genre sort of idea connotation, which so I don't really want to do. I could do some sort of cool sci-fi sort of things. I mean, you can think of any examples of your favorite HUDs and things, so I could do some shapes along the outside to sort of tie it all in very nicely, but I don't really want to do that in mine because it's sort of this clean, precise museum environment and I don't want to hide any of it really. But it would be quite nice if some of you do want to do like a border around the edge, create some shapes, make it look a bit more like a professional HUD that you see. But mine's going to be functional. I'm going to put in some information on what room you're in, so that will be sort of essentially a level. So we're going to put that, I'm going to put that in the top left. I'm going to leave a space here for where the clues are going to pop up. So when my timer gets down to about sort of 5 minutes, a clue will pop up. I want to help people through, but at the right stages. But what we're going to do is I'm going to do a video on that later in the series really, because not only are we going to make and then animate sort of a mask going over that so that it reveals the clue at certain stages, we're also going to time those in so those hints come at the stages in the game where we need it. So we might need sort of if statements and things like that, where if the user's still on room 1 after 4 minutes, we know that statistically they've only then got 6 minutes, let's say, to get through the next 2 rooms if it was a 10-minute game and so on. So we know we want to help them speed along, and we can decide how hard or how easy we make those clues for them. And then I'm going to have a timer in the bottom corner. That's going to be probably one of the most important things because the timer is going to be ever relevant. So what I might do is just create a background for that timer. That doesn't necessarily mean that I want to put my timer sort of font or wording in there, because that's going to be done in construct afterwards, because that needs to be a live timer. So I can't just have it as static text. I need to actually physically have that counting down. I need to program that in. So I'm not going to do that until we go into the game engine, okay? So what am I going to do to start with? I'm going to create my room counter. Now, anything else that you can think of that if people are collecting things in your scene or anything like that, you might want to put in one of the corners as well. And like I say, you might want to draw shapes all the way around the edge to sort of tie it in a little bit. I'm not going to do this for my game, but if I explain what I mean, obviously bear in mind this isn't going to be here. You're going to close this, but you could sort of do this sort of thing for your game, like so. Let's use that as our example, and let's change our opacity because you wouldn't have this fully opaque. Let's change it, yeah, to 50,000. That's what I meant, to 50. And these sort of HUD elements, obviously this wouldn't be here, so it'd look a lot nicer than that, but it just ties in the background a little bit. This is what I'm sort of talking about here, and then you could do similar. I wouldn't bring it all the way around, but you have these little shapes appearing in the corners, like so. And yeah, we'd go all the way around the edge with something like that. So you're welcome to do that if you feel it's relevant for your game and the genre you're going for. Like I said, with my museum, I'm not gonna. There you go. That's a bit better, isn't it? I'm not gonna include it in mine. I don't think it would work as well. But yeah, this sort of thing ties it in nicely, makes it feel a bit more like a game rather than just a scene. But up to you whether you do that. Another thing you could obviously potentially do as well, if I were to, let's say, create a thing that goes all the way around the edge. Let's swap these two colors over. So swap fill and stroke. Let's make the stroke a lot thicker. So let's make it like 5, like so. And then what I can do is bring it in a fraction. I've got the rounded edges, but something like that might work. It just frames it a little bit. Obviously this blurred edge won't come in because we're only gonna keep our canvas. But what I might do is just leave that for now. So I just did that with a simple box and with a fill color, a stroke color. My opacity set to 50 because it's the same as this background here. So I might just leave that on for now, just an example. I can always take it out if I don't want it in a bit. So let's draw ourselves a circle. I'm holding Control to make sure it's fully round. And this, let's swap those, swap fill and stroke. This is going to have the room number in it. So all I could do, I could either do a circle, I could do sort of a box that looks like it's part of the background. So let's show you the difference, see if I like that or not. So let's just draw ourselves a box from here maybe. Okay, let's yeah, the opacity on top of the opacity is making it a bit semi-transparent. So if I bring it to like there, let's say there, that's okay. There's no that means it's not a stroke color. That's fine. Good stuff. So I don't mind that. It doesn't look as good. So obviously I wouldn't want rounded corners and so on, but that could go in the corner there if you wanted something like that. But I'm quite happy with my circle, holding Control. I just think it looks a bit neater. I might try some, let's have a look what we've got in terms of filters, shadows and glows, cut out glow, let's see what that is. No, it blurs it way too much. Let's have a look. Some other stuff, obviously it's all trial and error. Dark and glow, quite like that. The glow goes too far out, but we can change, I assume anyway, we can change those settings in here. Well, that went wrong, didn't it? Blurred it way too much. Let's undo that. Let's change that blur down to 25, see if that does anything. Looks like it's part of the scene now, and that's not what I'm going for, so let's just change it to 0. Okay, what I'm sort of looking for is an outer edge. So the way I could also do that obviously is with stroke. So if I come into stroke paint, I decided I wanted a solid stroke color. Let's just reverse those. Stroke. Obviously I don't want my stroke to be that big, so let's try 0.25. Even that might be fractionally too big, so let's go to 0.125. And what I could do then is change my line style. So let's choose something like that. Just have a quick look at some examples of the lines. Obviously I'm sort of making this up as I go along. See what we get here. Next loads. Don't really want that. But yeah, you can play around with whatever you're happy with. Okay, I'm just gonna hurry up and pick one for the sake of it. Let's zoom back out. Let's click off a Still not convinced by that one, to be fair. Probably would be better as a solid. Something like that's not too bad. Okay. Let's go back to where it's a bit thicker. That's nicer. A few less lines. Quite like that. Just try it. 0.375. Okay. Happy with that. Let's rotate that. So not happy with where the lines are positioned. So let's see if this makes any difference. Sort of does. 0.5. There we go. Nice. That's what I wanted. Something nice and even. Up to you whether you want to do a drop shadow or anything like that. Obviously, I've given myself sort of a gradient there. We could use blurs, bumps. What else have we got? Outline. See what we get with that. Oh, nothing. Could probably ramp these right down the anti-aliasing and so on. But if you do find anything that you think works, makes it pop a little bit, obviously you're welcome to share. Emergence is probably just going to, make the colour go a bit funny. But yeah, I might add a slight blur to that. Let's say a 10. 10. Still way too much. 1. No, I still don't like it. Let's go for 0. So it's all trial and error. That'll do. So obviously it fits in with the circles in my thing, but now I'm going to have some nice crisp text sitting on top of that. So if I create a new layer, let's call this one level. Okay, let's click on this, move to layer, level. Let's make sure I'm working on that. Lock my reference layer for now. Make sure I'm working on level. Let's choose some text. Right, 1. Okay, so you can see that's come in. Color's black, so I want to set the color to white. Get pure white. I don't want this sort of cursive. I want something a bit more rounded. Let's choose another font. No. I know if I choose Gill Sounds like I did for the rest of it, it's going to be a bit, comes out as a straight line. It doesn't really do numbers very well. So let's just, for now, pretend we're happy with that. Okay, I'll get the sizing right in a minute, but I just want to demonstrate. So let's control paste that. So this is level 1 of, and to me at the moment that doesn't look like a 1, that looks like I of 3 as this is going to be. So there are 3 levels. 3 looks a bit nicer, makes it clearer. And then again you've got the choice of how you want to do this. You could just do this as a thick line. Let's just try the same tool that we brushed before. Yeah, I don't like that. It's a bit too jaggedy. So let's use, do a nice big line like so. If I hold control, it will make it a nice 45-degree angle for me. Right click to accept. Now my stroke is set to black at the moment. I'm going to set that to white, and I'm going to change my stroke width to something a lot thicker than that. Let's see, 1. Nice. That works all right for me. So the users will know they're on level 1 of 3. Now, being that this is a museum and things like this, I could put in some nice sort of, steps or things like that, the things you would be used to seeing on the signs inside a museum. However, I don't want it to look like they're going up and down stairs. I know that sounds daft, but my museum's going to be on the same level because you're going from one door into another, and I want that to read well and communicate properly. So I'm not going to do that for mine. I'm just going to set the number so people are aware of how far they are through the game. This is almost like a progress bar. just looking for a different font just for a second. Maybe Add Pro would have worked. Can't seem to see it. I just want a nice nice rounded font, and you're welcome to choose whatever font you want. You can also obviously download fonts off of Dafont and things like that. They're always pretty good. That's a bit race car-ish, but I might accept that for now. I think that needs to be a bit thicker based on the thickness of our text. That's it, nice and chunky. Now, this could be like if I was doing this in Photoshop or something, I'd probably give it a glow so it really stood out. I don't seem to be able to get my inner and outer glows the way I want them to. Actually, in and out for me would be in and outer glow, but it doesn't work that way. So yeah, let's leave it at that. Could try my blend mode. Opacity, let's try overlay. I'm just experimenting to see if I get any better results. I'm really not going to, am I? But something like that works well. Like if I look at it from the way the audience is going to see it, it works quite nicely. It's very clear. It's probably a bit too far in the corner, but the audience will always know, the player, sorry, will always know where they are in the game. At the moment, I'm okay with the border the way it is. So I'm quite happy with that. And what I now need to do is make a background box for the timer. And this is where the clues are going to pop up in the bottom left, but I'm not, like I said earlier, I'm not going to do that yet. So what I'll probably do for the timer is, I quite like the corner box. So I had a circle in the other corner, but I want this sort of rounded corner box. I'm going to do something like this. I can use the eyedropper tool to accept the same tool as before. I know that stroke color's way too big for me. I could just see, I don't think the dotted line's going to work for this one, but let's have a quick look. Don't like that at all, if I'm honest. Let's come down to 0.25 and let's make that a solid line. Something like that. I do want the opacity because I want you to be able to see through. I don't want it to impart on the game too much. And essentially what you've got to imagine is in the game itself, when we start to program it, you're going to have over the top, so I've got to set a level for this in a minute, but you're going to have over the top like 1000 or something like that over the top, not in sans serif, but you know, that will be a countdown clock on top of it that we'll put in later. So I'm just mocking that in to see what it looks like. So that's quite neat. Okay, this is the way it's probably going to work. It's nothing spectacular. Like if you do want these to feel like they're popping a little bit, the drop shadows, things like that, make sure they look like they're coming up the page. That could work. If you want to add a little bit of detail, be my guest. Just see what you get. It's probably alright, don't mind that too much. A drop shadow up here probably would be irrelevant because the background is black, so it's not really going to do anything, but let's have a look. It doesn't really do much, like I said, but quite happy with that. So let's make a new layer. Just leave that on for 2 seconds. Make a new layer, call it timer box. Timer boz. That's what I was going for. Timer box. Second time's a charm. Let's move those two for now. Move to layer. Timer box. Move. And the reason I'm keeping that in is because I'm going to make a screenshot of the whole thing together just for the YouTube thumbnail. So I will do that now whilst I'm talking. Ever the professional. Go desktop. Point and click. Scene 01. Scene full. Scene 01. HUD full. Okay, and as always, don't forget to hit export. Just because you've hit export as, you haven't actually saved the picture. Now I can get rid of that. Now if I hide my reference layer, that tells me one thing. This border box that I've created here, let's try and actually click on it. Oh yeah, it's locked, that's why I can't click on it. This border box that I've created is on the wrong layer, so move to layer. Actually, let's make a new layer for it. Call it border. You don't obviously have to have a border or anything like that. I just feel like it ties in a little bit, neatens it up, so it doesn't look like a picture. So move to layer. But I did like the idea of doing the shapes and things like that. If you want to try and make it look a bit sci-fi, or you want to make it look like a western or something like that, you could do, you know, a nice wooden theme around the edges. The border just ties it in. So let's hide that. Here's what we're left with. Anything outside the canvas isn't going to save unless we specifically want it to. So make sure we're going to save as a page. So export PNG. Let's make sure we're on page so that we don't accidentally save this nonsense around the edge. Export. Same rules apply. Let's come into here. Let's call this HUD. Let's press save. Okay, press export. Now, the important thing to remember is obviously the HUD is going to change for each level as we progress. So what we're going to also need to do is change this number here and say variance out. So let's save that as 2 of 3. Don't forget to do this. Obviously, we could use the text in the game engine and make it automatically update. So, you know, when X video plays, update this +1 to make it 2 or whatever. You know, it would be a simple bit of code essentially. But for us, we're not actually going to do that. So HUD level 2. We could go at room 2 or whatever. So we're exporting page, export, and then last but not least, let's make sure room 3 of 3. And like I say, obviously the last remaining bit of the HUD is the clue in the bottom corner, which we will add later. So let's do that. Page, export, 3 of 3. If I just quickly bring those up. That's scene 01. Let's have a quick look. HUD, here we go. I'll probably change that name as well. Yep, nice. Don't know why they're not showing for more than a split second, but you can see my HUD elements there are working from the thumbnails and from the split second that it appears up. Whatever seems to be going wrong with that. Yeah, so we've got our assets there, HUD 1, 2, and 3. Let's, for naming purposes, call that L1. So we've got our 3 versions of HUD with the room number changing. We're going to put the timer over the top of this, but that was a very simple sort of tutorial where we're going to make the HUD. Let's also save it. I've been getting in a bad habit of not saving. Excellent. So that's our HUD. If you've got any questions, please do ask. In the next tutorial, what I'm likely to do in the next tutorial is just sort of quickly talk you through what I'm going to do for my scene 2, and then rather than you watching, you know, 3 or 4 hours of me creating the scene and explaining what I'm doing, because I don't think that's going to be relevant because you're all going to have different rooms. You're not really recreating my room. What I will do is then pause the video, complete my work, show you the finished work, and then talk through the assets I've done if there's anything different, like, oh, I added a drop shadow here, or, you know, this glow happened in this way, and so on. Okay, hopefully that'll be useful to you all. Yeah, and I look forward to being able to share all that with you very soon. Thanks very much for watching. Yeah, hope you're doing well with it. Cheers, bye.